The words my father said to me that December still echo in my mind. This family doesn't have a place for you anymore. He didn't shout. That would have been easier. He said it calmly, almost casually, as if he were telling me the weather forecast. I was standing in my kitchen, holding a box of Christmas decorations I had bought for my parents' house. For 29 years, Christmas had always meant one thing to me: family. But that year, my father had decided I was no longer part of his. My name was missing from the family Christmas group chat. My mother stopped answering my calls. My younger brother, Daniel, suddenly had no idea what I was talking about whenever I asked about Christmas dinner. I tried to convince myself it was a misunderstanding. Then my father called. "Don't come this year," he said. I laughed nervously because I honestly thought he was joking. "What? You heard me." "But Dad, Christmas is next week." "I know." I felt my fingers tighten around the decoration box. Did I do something? There was a long silence. Then he said the sentence that shattered something inside me. "This family doesn't have a place for you." I couldn't speak. For years I had been the daughter who showed up. I helped my mother when she needed anything. I remembered everyone's birthdays. I bought thoughtful gifts. I drove 3 hours for family dinners. When my father's business struggled, I quietly helped with expenses without expecting anything in return. I never kept score. That was my mistake. Because while I was busy trying to hold the family together, they had apparently been deciding how easily they could live without me. I asked my father one last question. "Is this because of Daniel?" Another silence. Then he simply said, "You need to stop making everything about yourself." The call ended. I stood there in my kitchen, staring at the Christmas decorations. One tiny golden angel slipped from the box and landed on the floor. And something inside me finally went quiet. I cried that night. Not because I wouldn't have Christmas dinner. Not because I wouldn't receive gifts. I cried because I realized I had spent years begging for a place at a table where my family had already decided my chair was unnecessary. But what I didn't know that day was that I was about to give my father one final Christmas gift. For the next few days, I disappeared. No angry messages, no dramatic phone calls, no begging. I simply stopped reaching out. And strangely, that silence made people uncomfortable. My mother called 3 days later. "Are you really not coming?" I almost laughed. "Dad told me not to." "Well, you know how your father is." "No, Mom, I know exactly how he is." She became quiet. Then she whispered, "Daniel needs everyone to support him right now." There it was, Daniel. My younger brother had always been the golden child. Whatever he wanted, my parents found a way to make happen. A new car, help with rent, money for his business. And now, apparently, my place in the family. I asked my mother, "What does Daniel need this time?" She didn't answer. That was when I realized there was something they weren't telling me, so I stopped asking. Instead, I started looking through the old documents I had kept from the years when I helped my father with his business. And that's when I found it. A financial agreement. My father had quietly transferred a large portion of the family business to Daniel. There was just one problem. The business wasn't entirely my father's. Years earlier, when the company was struggling, I had invested my savings into it. My father had promised me that I would always have a share. I never pushed for paperwork because I trusted him. But there it was. My name, my contribution, my legal ownership, and suddenly everything made sense. They didn't want me at Christmas because they wanted to finalize Daniel's future without me asking questions. I sat at my dining table until midnight, reading every document twice. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell Daniel. I didn't even tell my friends. For the first time in my life, I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was protecting myself. 2 days before Christmas, my father called again. "So," he said, "are you going to respect our decision and stay home?" "Yes." He sounded relieved. "Good." I took a breath. "Dad?" "What?" "I've decided to give you something for Christmas." He laughed. "You don't need to send us anything." "I know." Then I said quietly, "This isn't something you can put under a tree." His laughter disappeared. "What does that mean?" "You'll find out." He demanded an explanation, but I ended the call. Christmas Eve arrived. While my family prepared their dinner, I sat alone in my apartment with a cup of tea. For the first time, I wasn't wishing I were there. I wasn't imagining their table. I wasn't wondering whether my mother would miss me. I was thinking about something much more important: my future. That evening, my lawyer sent the final documents. Everything was ready. The next morning, I sent my father one envelope. Inside was a letter, and copies of the documents proving my ownership. At the bottom of the letter, I wrote only one sentence. You said this family had no place for me. So I stopped asking for one. My father called within 10 minutes. I didn't answer. He called again and again. Then Daniel started calling. Finally, my mother left a voicemail. Her voice sounded frightened. Please call us. We need to talk. I sat on my sofa and stared at the phone. For years, those words would have made me rush back. Not anymore. A few hours later, my lawyer contacted my father on my behalf. The transfer to Daniel was frozen. The business couldn't legally be changed without my approval. And suddenly, the family that had told me I had no place began asking me to come back. Not because they missed me, because they needed me. That realization hurt more than the original rejection. My father eventually came to my apartment. He stood outside my door, looking older than I remembered. I didn't know you still had those documents, he said. I didn't either, I replied. He looked down. Your mother thought you would eventually forgive us. I nodded. Maybe I will. He looked hopeful. But forgiveness doesn't mean returning to the same place where I was hurt. His face fell. I'm your father. I know. And you're my daughter. I know that too. Then why are you doing this? I looked at him for a long moment. I'm not doing anything to you, Dad. I'm simply no longer allowing you to do things to me. He had no answer. For the first time I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Regret. Not anger, not pride. Regret. He finally whispered, I was wrong. Those 3 words were everything I had once wanted. But strangely, I didn't need them anymore. I didn't take the business away from my family. I didn't destroy Daniel's future. I simply insisted on what was already mine. And I walked away. That Christmas, I didn't sit at my family's table. I sat at a small table in my apartment, with a few people who genuinely cared about me. We ate simple food, we laughed, we exchanged small gifts, and somehow, it was the warmest Christmas I had ever experienced. Before going to bed that night, I looked at the little golden angel that had fallen from the decoration box days earlier. I placed it on my windowsill. Then I smiled. My father had thought excluding me would make me feel worthless. Instead, it taught me my worth. He thought removing my chair from the family table would break me. Instead, it helped me build my own table, and that was my final gift to him. Not revenge, not anger, just the truth. Sometimes the strongest response to rejection isn't fighting for your place. It's realizing you never needed permission to belong. And sometimes, the family you are born into isn't the family that truly sees you. When that happens, don't destroy yourself trying to earn a seat. Build your own table, and let the people who truly love you pull up a chair. Because the moment I stopped asking my father where I belonged, I finally found where I did.